Alrighty, so I tried to make sure everybody's got a graphing calculator. And again, some people will, question, well, if I can use a graphing calculator, can't I like cheat? Can I, right? There'll be ways to be able to make sure that you know how to do your algebra. I can still get that out of you on a test. But if you think about all the subjects that you take, math is one of the key subjects that teaches you how to use technology, right? And so that's part of the curriculum. You have to know how to be able to use this thing. And it is an excellent tool. Okay? It's like any tool, though. If you have a tool that you don't even know what it does, it's a pretty useless tool. And if you don't know how to use the tool, it's kind of a useless tool, right? So we want to be able to start exposing you through the next 3 years of all the things that it can do. Okay? Now, here are the steps. Okay? So whenever you get here, you have your y equals button. Okay? And you can always see my arrow up there, right? So that y equals button is where you're going to be putting in your equations. Right? You're going to put equation 1 into y1, and you can put equation 2 into y2. And I'll even up it a bit, and I'll show you how if we go left, and I think I've shown you this already, and we hit enter once, that'll help you keep straight which was equation 1 and which one was equation 2. Okay, so if you get in the habit of making always your second one the thick line, it doesn't change the accuracy of the graph. It just helps you always know which one was the first one or the second one. Some of you guys with color screens, that's already in there for you where it has different colors. Okay? Now, the big thing is you could hit, I always hit zoom 6 next. Okay? So ensure that you can see the two lines cross. The two we're going to be using are zoom zoom 6, which is zoom standard. Or zoom, and if you keep going down, it's that one. So zoom 0, which is zoom fit. Okay, so this is standard. Standard is like, let's all look at the same picture. That's what standard does, brings it back. Zoom fit, you'll hit zoom standard and you won't see a thing. That means it's not in that window. It's not in where you're looking. If you hit zoom fit, it doesn't give you the nicest picture. In fact, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't look good at all, but it'll give you some of the graph, and then you can realize what you need to do with your window settings. So it helps get you close, right? Not perfect, but it helps get you close. Okay? Now the second calc trace, we don't need, okay? Oh yeah, sorry. Second calc, right, is, so second, right? And the intersect button is the huge button, right? And then you got to get your spider close, because sometimes you'll have two intersects, okay? Now, when would you have two intersects? Would be something like this. Okay, so if I graphed a quadratic, and then I graphed a line, do you see there's two answers? Okay, sometimes there will be two answers. Sometimes there's 3 answers. Sometimes there's 5 answers. Okay? When you do trig in grade 12, sometimes there's infinite answers, and you have to keep telling which, because the sine curve goes like this, and if you have something going like this, it's cutting, 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 right? It's infinite, right? So your spider will always go, so if your spider's sitting here, your little guy, and you press enter, 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 he will go here every time. Okay? So if you want to find the other one, you have to go second, trace, intersect, and then you have to keep moving the spider till he gets closer to this one. and then hit enter, enter, enter. Okay? He's not a smart spider. He's not like, oh yeah, I just did that one. I got your back. I'll go get the other one, right? You got to tell him, or else he just keeps going. He's a very lazy spider, right? He's going to go to the nearest one. Now, what is the only algebraic challenge to doing these? Is if you look at your calculator, it's always y equals. Okay? So if you are limited of getting your stuff into y equals, your calculator is a useless piece of technology for you because you can't do it when it's x equals, or in both of these cases for number 1, they're not ready for the calculator yet. Okay? So we always have to get them into y equals, because look at my calculator. Like, it's y equals, y equals, y equals. So if it's not in that way, the calculator doesn't want it. Okay, so for number, let's call this 1 and this 2. So for number 1, we have x plus y equals 2. Now if we want this y equals, what should we be doing? Yeah, but how? We're going to subtract x to both sides, okay? And y equals negative 1x plus 2. Now why did I do that? Why didn't I just leave it as 2 minus x? Yeah, so I can get it into y equals mx plus b, right? We got to get used to that, because I know that it's a nice preferable form, so I'm going to use that, right? Now remember that 2, what does the 2 symbolize? Y-intercept. What is the negative 1? Slope. Okay? Don't lose your math sense on this stuff. Right? Ask any math teacher what drives them nuts, and it's when students go, I don't know, that's what my calculator gave me. Well, but it's wrong. But that's what it gave me. Like, yours is going up. That's like negative 1x. That's a slope going down. I don't know. That's what my calculator gave me, right? It's a really dumb argument if you really think about it, right? Well, did you put it in wrong? I don't know. That's what my calculator gave me, right? It's like, okay, I think you're not listening to the conversation anymore. I think you're just saying that's what my calculator gave me no matter what. Yeah, it's not going to get you out of trouble. Okay? The next one, 2x minus y equals 7. What do I want to do? So I'm going to subtract 2x, and I'm going to write this as negative y equals negative 2x plus 7. Yeah, I can multiply by negative 1, or I can, since this is negative 1 in front, I can do what I've always done and just divide by negative 1. So y equals 2x minus 7. Okay. So let's all go to our graphing calculator. I'm going to clear everything. Okay, so for number 1, I'm going to put negative, and your negative is down below. You cannot use minus. If you use minus, you will get an error. And everyone has to make sure, do you see up top, you got plot 1, plot 2, plot 3? Make sure none of those are darkened. Okay, students will come to me often, and they're like, it won't graph. It starts to graph, gives me an error. Starts to graph, give me an error. Okay? The other thing too, it's like I almost shouldn't tell you this, okay? Because someone's going to do it to somebody. But if plot 1, plot 2, plot 3, they're not darkened and it's not graphing, it's giving them an error, someone's done something down at your lower graph that you can't see. They've put in, like, say, negative 5x, or minus. They use the minus sign, and then you get out of there. Now you don't even see it's there, do you? But it's graphing, and so those are when you come up to me, and it's not graphing, it's giving you this error. Those are the two things that have happened. Look at Blake. Blake is just like, whoa. He'll be going in all your lockers later, putting that in there. Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so now let's put it in. Negative 1x plus 2. Okay? And just out of habit, I'm going to keep my second one darkened so it helps me know which was which. and then y equals 2x minus 7. Now, what did I say we should always hit? You can hit graph, but whatever you graphed last time, it's going to use those window settings. So let's get back, and we're going to hit zoom 6, right? And then it'll graph it. Okay, now we're starting with our basics. See? See what just happened there? Okay. So if I go mode quit, and then I go to y equals, and I hit graph again, it graphs the first one, graphs the second one, and then hits error. Why? Because I have that bad thing down here. Okay? Now this is the answer right there. Just like I gave you on the quiz question today, right? The first one. A couple students were confused because it's so easy. They're like, what do I do? I'm like, put down the answer. But they've already done it for us. Yes, they have. They would be me, by the way. But anyway, yes. So you can now put down the answer. Now, how do I find it? Second, which is calc. 5. Now, I do recommend getting the spider close. He gives a better answer. Okay? So say the answer was, let's hit enter 3 times. I've seen it give 2.999999999 instead of 3. Now you have to know your calculator. That is 3. But if you get far away, let me just try it. It may not do it. It does it definitely on the more complex ones. But if I get him pretty far away, and then I hit enter 3 times, let's see what happens. No, it still did it. But I've seen them where if they're far away, they give 2.999999999, and you've got to know that's probably 3. Maybe I'll do it with them closer. Okay? Yes? It's actually second trace. That function, it's from habit because that's what that means, second function. Second function means I'm going to make all the yellow on your keyboard work. Okay? And when I was growing up, it always said second func underneath. So students are always looking for that function button. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry. It's just second calc. Okay?
It's like it's talking to you, it's taunting you. It's like
Okay, so if you go like this, first curve or first equation, yes. Second, yes. And then it's like, do you want me to do this one for you? Are you that lazy? Yes. And then it does it. Okay? No, it doesn't want you to guess. It's asking, do you want me to guess? It's like talking to you. Jeez. Holy man. It's not taunting.
yeah, it's like
No, it's like, do you want me to do your homework for you? Fine. If you can live with yourself, if you're going to sleep nights, you know, whatever you want me to do. That's what it's trying to say. Because it's like, you should know how to do this algebraically. I can't even believe you picked me up to do this question. Okay? So, now can we do this without a graphing calculator? Okay? How would I graph the first one? Start at where? At 2, and I will go from there. I will go. Be specific. No. Down right. Down right. Okay, down right. You can see where this one's going. Okay, and then how about the second one? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm there, and I will go up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Okay? So you can see this is my answer. Now you can draw your lines in there. But, okay? And from here, looks like I got 3, 1 as well for both. Okay? Now, the whole point of today is, of course, learning how to use your calculator. But like I've said, Math Sense will take you so far in math, and technology is only as good as the person that can actually evaluate it, okay? That's when technology is good, is when you can question its validity without just taking it full value and say, oh yeah, it must be right. Okay, it's a calculator. Calculators don't make mistakes. But you know what? It's the input of the calculator that probably made the mistake, aka you. Okay. I always wonder how much I want to beat these to death, right? Like, it's nice to just get working on them. Okay, maybe let's do number 3. It's a little bit more challenging. 2 is the same pretty well. Okay. This one is going to challenge us more window settings wise. Okay, let's do number 1 and get it to y equals, because I cannot use my graphing calculator. Okay. Oh, and the other question is, I should be going back here and talking about this. Here's the other thing. Okay, we got 3, -1. You want to put 3, -1 into your, right? So that's 3 plus -1 equals 2. Yes, it is. Now 2 times, now this is going to be +1, correct? 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. It's correct. Check those points. The only way you shouldn't get 100 on this exam is if you were rushed so much that you had no time to check it over. Okay? Because there's 3 ways to check it. Or 3 ways to do it. Number 1, you do it algebraic. Number 2, you do it with your calculator. And actually, you're going to learn about 5 ways to do the same question. Right? And just because they've asked you to do it this way, maybe for a written response, doesn't mean you can't check it with all the other ways. And that's a huge value when you have a teacher in your hand that's saying it's right. Okay? That is a great value that I think we can all appreciate. Now, let's get this so it's y equals. We got 5x plus 3y equals 65. What's first? Minus 5x to both sides. So 3y equals -5x plus 65. Divide everybody by 3. And I'll get y equals -5/3 x plus 65 over 3. Okay, 65 over 3 doesn't work out to be a very nice number. It's repeating, so you can't go and just divide it out. Okay, let's do the second one. 2x plus y equals 25. Minus 2x. Y equals -2x plus 25. That's just too nice. Okay? Now, we go to our second best friend. We'll open this up. And you can, sometimes it's just easier to hit clear and then put the new one in instead of, and I always like to put my fractions in brackets. So I got -5/3. Again, do not use the minus sign. You need to use the negative sign. And then I put my x, okay, outside the bracket. Plus, and again, I just out of habit, because I can tell you sometimes that if you don't, it messes up, 65 over 3. And it makes it that nice little fraction, right? And in this one, I'm going to put -2x plus 25. And you know what? Just verify that you've put them in right, because it's going to be human error that is going to get these wrong for you. And there's a lot of places to just put in the wrong number. It's just that simple. Right? I do these class examples all the time, and I still put in the wrong, and there's students, I can tell because I just finished looking, I look up and there's like 5 hands in the air, right? And I look down, I go, yeah, okay. Okay, so we got that. Now, we can hit graph, but all those old window settings, and maybe I was looking at something, are still there, so I'm going to hit zoom 6. Okay, and what I like about this question is Zoom 6 failed us. Okay, it's not good. Now there's two options. I've always said you could hit Zoom Fit, or you can just try and chase it down a little bit. Okay, now I want to see more over here, don't I? Which one would I change to do that? X max. So you hit your window. Now right now X max is 10. And I never give the answers for this, because if I give the answers, I get all these students after going, how did you know that? How did you know to put that in? And I go, I didn't. I just did trial and error. But I used it thinking logically. Like, I'm not going to put in 5 here. Right? What should I be putting in? 15? Sometimes I don't even think that's enough. 30 maybe? Sure. Like, I'm going to take your suggestion, because I don't want this to be like, oh, you should just know it, right? Well, and then hit graph again and see if you like it. Okay. Now, it's not showing any y-intercepts, and I kind of want to see always my y and x. Yes, son. Okay, you could hit Zoom Fit too as well. Oh, it does that? Oh, well, let's try that. Okay, because I've had that fail on me sometimes. So let's go Zoom 6. I'm going to go like this. Okay, then you go Zoom. Oop, it's going to do some graphing. Then I'm going to go Zoom Out, which is 3, and I can hit Enter. Now, what if Zoom Out, you couldn't see your graph yet, though, still? I guess you'd have to hit Zoom Out again. So you could probably hit Zoom Fit and get there. But anyway, you moved your spider just like you moved him up here. Close to there, and then hit Zoom in. Okay, I want to try this. Let's do Zoom Fit, which is Zoom 0. Actually, I want to do, oh, you can graph it on me right now. I find when it comes to intersect, usually Zoom Fit just kind of helps right out. But I'm going to hit Zoom 6 so I can get back to that regular window. Okay, then I'm going to hit Zoom Fit, which is Zoom 0. Enter. Okay, and then if I took my spider and if I just moved over close to there, get it close over there, and I bet you if I hit Zoom in now, Zoom 2, Enter. You always have to hit Enter or else you just stand there for a long time and nothing happens. Okay, and that actually kind of made it maybe even worse for me, maybe because I didn't have this close enough. So I'm going to hit Zoom in again, but I'm going to get over here. The moral of the story is there's more than one way to get there, and just learning how to use your calculator, learning how to use the different buttons, I mean, that's half the battle. So I'm going to hit Zoom in again. Okay, anyway, to make a long story short, now I think I've seen the intersection, so I'm going to hit second, trace, I'm going to go 5, and then I'm going to hit Enter 3 times. And if it's not on the screen, often it'll give you error. See, no sign change, so it actually wasn't on the screen yet. Okay, and I'm not trying to waste your time here, I'm trying to tell you that it's not an exact science, right? Because if I make it an exact science on here, students think they're missing something. And you're not, right? You just have to see, for me right away, just because I'm used to doing Windows settings, I need to see lower. I need to see lower down. So I'm going to see my Y min. It's like at 5. Like at least make it like, I don't know, go -5. Okay, now it's really shooting it way out there. Okay, and then I'm going to go farther right. So I'm going to hit my Y max. I'm going to make that 20. Okay, and then I'm looking, it's probably crossing about there. I'm going to go second trace. I'm going to go 5. Enter, enter, enter. It was at 10.5. Okay. Okay. So when we did it, we got 10 comma 5. Okay, now let's try and see where this could be really nice at actually with word problems, right? Now it says write a linear system to model the situation and then solve. So we've already done some of these. Owen is tracking his sodium intake due to doctor recommendations. For breakfast, Owen ate 2 bowls of cereal and 4 slices of bacon that contained a total of 940 milligrams of sodium. The next day he ate 1 bowl of cereal and 3 slices of bacon and contained 620 milligrams of sodium. How much sodium is in each bowl of cereal and a piece of bacon? Okay, so what are some good variable letters? Yeah, how about C for cereal and B for bacon? Well, that would actually, that's not a variable. Right? I know how much. It's a constant. Right? So what would be my first equation? You didn't use my variable, so. Okay, so do it again with C and B. Is 940. And my second one, 1C plus 3B equals 620. Now, the $1 million question is, like, we want these into y equals, right? It doesn't matter what you get as long as you know which one is which. Now, if I'm going to leave C on the left, what is it synonymous with? Y, right? So when I get my y out, it will stand for C. The x will stand for B. Okay? Now if I wanted to put B on the left, B now becomes synonymous with y, right? Remember we always have it y equals? So if it's B equals, B is y. But if I make it C equals, C is y. So it's your choice. Just keep it straight. Okay? So I'm going to keep C on the left. So we've got equation 1, we've got equation 2. So equation 1 is 2C plus 4B equals 940. I want to keep C on the left. So I will subtract 4B. So we'll get 2C equals negative 4B plus 940. Okay, what's always been the next step? Divide by 2. So C will equal negative 2B plus 470. Okay, that's equation 1. Equation 2, I have 1C plus 3B equals 620. Now you can see why this one's nice that I made C equal Y, because this is a nice fast one. All I have to do is what? Subtract 3B. So 1C, or C, equals negative 3B plus 620. There's my two equations. Now, another thing that's very common, and this used to be asked on the diploma, is what would be your window settings for this thing? Okay? And sometimes maybe window settings you're going to be able to think about before you do it, but maybe after you do it. Now, so if I go to my calculator, I'm going to put it in the middle here so you can see my two equations. So y, turn it on, y equals, okay, negative 2, I'm going to clear this, sorry, because negative 2, now I know we say b, but there is no b on here, it's my x, plus 470. The next one is negative 3x plus 620. Okay, then let's hit zoom 6, and I shouldn't see anything. Like that's all happening way, way, way in space there. Okay, so then I'm going to hit my zoom 0, which is zoom fit. And it's never nice looking, trust me. See, that's not even showing the intersection, but it's getting me in the ballpark. Now, do you see that it's happening way over here someplace? Like this one's coming this way, this one's coming this way, so it's happening over here, right? So which window? X max. So like, yeah, that's what I was thinking, 100. Hit graph. Okay. Okay, now what's wrong? This is probably not my y-axis, right? Because if I go to my window setting, what's my minimum? 450. So I want at least go y min of 0, right? Huh? Yeah, well, no, I know. It looked like it, right? So again, we're learning to our calculator. If you're going to the diploma thinking that's your y-axis, right, then that means you haven't practiced enough. You want to go check that. It actually, that was 450. Then I hit graph again. Okay, so am I at least getting by the point that it's not an exact science? You got to go back. But I am getting closer, right? And sometimes you hit the wrong one and you get farther, right? But then that's all part of learning too. Then your window, I think 100 is not enough. I'm going to go 200. Hit graph. Okay, so I found the answer. Okay, so I'm just going to take my screenshot here. I'm going to paste it. But the one thing I do want to put down is actually my window settings. Now, even the negative 10, whatever, I like x min, I'm going to put a 0. Okay, so this is how we write it. Okay, you watching? This is how you do window settings. So my windows, because I may just ask you this on a test. What's your window settings? You're going to say, right, my X are, it's just like it is, 0, 200, and 1. Now, 1 means I'm counting by ones. Okay, you can count by 10s, you can count by 20s, and then every little mark is a 20. And my Y, min, 0, max, 650, and counting by ones. And don't worry about your X res, right? And then there's my picture for that. Now, when I go back there, now actually, I think even a better window setting is to see both of those land. So I'm actually to be, let's go picky, let's go 800, because a really good graph is when you see both your X and Y hit. Okay, now that's still not great. So window, oh, see, I changed the wrong one accidentally, right? I want X max, right? That happens to me all the time. Like I'm not even, sometimes I try and make a mistake, so you guys will catch up with that one. Okay, so that one, now if you see more than you need to, it's still acceptable window settings. Okay, so I would actually change this to like 400 to really see it well. And then I'm going to delete this and get a better. Okay, that's a better picture. Okay, so anyway, this is going to be my answer around here. So I'm going to go second, calc, 5, enter, enter, enter. 150, 750. Okay, now this is really important. Or 170, sorry. 150, comma, 170. Now, what does 150 stand for on the calculator? On the calculator, what does it stand for? X, right? This is always my X, this is always my Y. Now, when I did my two equations, does everybody see that this was my Y and this is my X, right? So make sure you keep those straight. So X stands for B, right? And Y stands for C, which is, okay? Now, you guys know that that's going to get mixed up if you don't keep it straight, right? And it sucks as a teacher to have to mark those wrong, right? Because they did all this work, but they didn't actually know which one was which. So they wrote it totally backwards, okay? So we have 150 milligrams of sodium in what? In bacon. And see, I took the time to do this. It's hard to get students to do that. They would rather not do that and get it wrong. Really, I do have students like that, that they would rather, you know, that's work. I'd just rather get it wrong. And, you know, for me, it's hard to understand that, right? Because I'm just not wired that way. But some people are wired that way, right? They're like, well, that's work, you know. Okay, now, and then we've got 170 milligrams of sodium. Sodium in cereal, which is weird. You would expect bacon to have been higher. But isn't that a good example of not keeping things straight, and see if you can just mess with the numbers, and students are going to go, oh, I just thought bacon should have been higher, so I changed the variable. No, you can't do that. Okay? Okay? So you should have, mine doesn't have the assignment, but yours does, right? Yep. Yes, absolutely, right? We could put the 150 in and the 170 in. You should be doing that.